The weeks leading up to Christmas are some of the busiest in retail. Shops are full of customers, queues are constant, and there's non-stop pressure to keep shelves stocked and service running smoothly. In the store where I worked, many employees had already booked to travel back to their home countries for Christmas. At first, this wasn't recognized properly, so the scale of the issue was hidden. Only later did managers realize that a large portion of the staff wouldn't actually be available right when demand was at its highest. This lack of foresight is exactly what happens when HR stays transactional, dealing with issues only as they come up instead of planning strategically for peak seasons. By the time managers realized the problem, it was too late to recruit enough seasonal workers or organize proper schedules. Instead, HR defaulted to a transactional approach, simply filling rota gaps by giving excessive hours to whoever was still available. And that included me. Even though I was only a part-time worker, I suddenly found myself working 9 days out of 10 in the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas and during Christmas week itself. On paper, the rota was covered, but in practice, the workload was unfairly dumped on a few people. And this is a key reason why transactional HR often hampers strategic HR. It reacts, but it doesn't prevent. At first, I thought the extra shifts would be good for earning more money, but the reality set in quickly. The long hours, the constant busyness, and the lack of rest began to pile up. By Christmas itself, I felt completely drained, physically and mentally. I was feeling burnt out. I wasn't enjoying the holidays at all. This experience shows how transactional HR might keep the business running in the short term, but at the cost of employee well-being. Burnout not only affects individual staff, but also reduces motivation, quality of service, and long-term retention. The first big HR lesson here is about workforce planning. A strategic HR approach would have anticipated these shortages well in advance. By monitoring annual leave, HR could have hired seasonal staff, adjusted the rotas gradually, or even created incentive schemes to keep people working through the busy season. Instead, the transactional approach took over, reacting to problems only when they became urgent. That left managers scrambling at the last minute, employees being overworked, and the business at risk of poor service. This shows how focusing only on transactions hampers the ability to act strategically, because energy is spent firefighting instead of planning. The second lesson is about employee well-being. Transactional HR tends to reduce employees to numbers on a rota. As long as the shift is covered, the problem is considered solved. But strategic HR recognizes that people are the core of an organization. Protecting well-being is not just about being nice. It directly impacts motivation, performance, and staff retention. In my case, well-being wasn't considered. Hours weren't shared fairly. There was no system for volunteering for overtime, and the result was burnout. A strategic approach would have balanced business needs with employee health. This experience highlights how transactional HR can hamper strategic HR. Yes, the short-term crisis was managed, but at the cost of staff exhaustion, poor planning, and long-term risk to the business. For organizations to succeed, HR needs to shift from being purely transactional to being strategic, forecasting needs, planning ahead, and supporting employees as people, not just as names on a rota. That balance is what ensures both their organization and its staff can thrive, even in the busiest times of the year.